Ramona, what do you do for a job?
I'm an interior designer.
Oh, wow, fantastic. We haven't had an interior designer on for a very long time. How did you, that's obviously a very passion, purpose-led sort of job.
Yes.
How did you get into that space?
Yep, purely because I love design,
Yep.
and then I love teaching, so I also teach it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also have another voluntary type of teaching that I do.
What's that in? The same industry?
Well, teaching the Bible. So
Oh, there you go.
I do both.
That's really interesting. So, from this perspective, do you think it's better to go for a job that makes you a lot of money, or something that you really feel purposeful in, like you really feel led by a purpose?
I think that everybody's different, but for me, and the advice that I also gave to my daughter,
Yep.
was that there was going to have to be purpose in it,
Yep.
because she did like a law internship,
Yep.
but then she also wanted to do voluntary work to teach people the Bible.
Yep.
So then I said to her, well, I think it's good if you do something that's going to fit in with that, that's going to have more purpose for you.
Yep.
And so that's what she also went with, something that's going to work with that.
Yeah.
And I think, money's not always just the answer.
Yep.
It's, you're not going to get all your contentment from that.
Do you think that you've got the opportunity to be much more successful in your job in every way, like career progression and financially, if you're really obsessed with it, like you really love it, it's something that really resonates deep with you over just chasing the immediate thing of like how much money you'll make? Because a lot of people do law, for example. I don't know, most people don't know this, but a law degree is actually one of the most unemployable degrees that you can get, because there's so many people that do law every year that graduate, and there's actually not that many positions for them as a lawyer.
That's right. When I did the teaching and assessment last year, there were actually quite a few lawyers in the classroom.
Yeah.
And some of them even dropped out because they just said, this is actually too hard for us. They didn't have the stamina to keep going with it. But see, the purpose that I had for it was that I wanted to be able to, interior design wasn't kind of working for me with what else I was doing in life.
Yep.
Whereas I knew that I could use it in a teaching aspect.
Yep.
So I don't think, I think you've got to be smart with what you do.
Mm-hmm. How do you be smart?
I always have said that if you've got an option, don't just necessarily take a job in a supermarket, but do something that you can earn the most, because time is valuable. So do that, but not necessarily so be valuable with your time as well.
Really interesting. I've got this theory, and I don't know if you'll agree with it,
Yeah?
but it's something that I've taught my own kids and all the students that we have come through. When we're an adult, we get through a point in our life, I'm not sure exactly what age, but let's say 35 to 45, where we wake up one day and we say, okay, we've got kids, we've got a mortgage, we've got bills, not really happy with the thing that I do, I wish I picked a different path, I should have studied something different at university. You have these moments in your life, right? I think everyone goes through that in that middle age of their life. Yet when we have children and they get their first job, we say to them, just get a job at Coles or Woolies, or just get a job at McDonald's or KFC. It's good for you to learn how to be a part of the community, earn a little bit of money, learn how to work with a team. They're all the things that we teach our children, but we very rarely say, don't work in those jobs if they're not your purpose or that's something that you want. We don't encourage them to experiment at the age where they've got the most flexibility and autonomy and free time and opportunity. Why do you think parents do that? Do you think it's because of their own fears that they sort of they've picked safe, and then when they have kids they automatically default to that?
Well, I probably was a little bit different, and I said to my daughter, she had the opportunity to go and work with an orthodontist.
Yep.
Just for a couple of days while she was doing year 12.
Yep.
And he wanted to teach her also a lot of other things. And I said to her, you could be working in the supermarket, or you could work for him and learn a lot of things.
Yes.
And it can just go there somewhere along the way. You're going to pull that and draw on that somewhere along the way,
Yeah.
and learn from that.
So trying a lot of different things as well, right?
And you'll see whether or not you actually like that, but you may actually decide, I'll go back to that because I've got the skill for that.
Yeah, and you know what it looks like from a real place.
So, you know, she was getting $25, whereas in the supermarket she'd probably got 12.
Yeah, that's a good point too. How about you? What do you do?
So I was a dental nurse,
Yeah.
but I gave that up to do volunteer work.
Okay, wonderful. So what led you down that pathway?
I think because I wanted to make what I do count. And as much as I loved my job, I found that I was making it count for everyone else, making my boss rich and doing that. But the work that I do now is, I suppose, building qualities in people that make them a valuable asset to their work, to their communities, to their families. Yeah, so I find that really fulfilling.
Interesting. So what advice would you give young people now that are like at school, they're not sure that what they want to do, that they're a little bit lost? What advice would you give them?
I think to whatever you go into, whatever you decide to explore, give it your best.
Yeah.
Learn from it, whether it's difficult, whether it's challenging, whether it's fantastic, exciting. Give it your best because things don't last forever and you can always change. Like you said, you get to a point in life when you think, oh, I wish I'd done something different. Well, in our communities, we can. You can go back to school and retrain. You can change directions. We're fortunate in that sense.
Yeah. Do you think education has become so monetised, right? So a university degree costs about $100,000 and people go, no, it doesn't. I only paid $25,000 or $30,000, but in the 3 years that you've been in that degree, you haven't earned money. Some people move, they're paying rent. So the minimum is usually $100,000 that your degree is going to cost you. And then when you go to get into the market to buy a home or you want to progress financially in your life, you go to the bank and they say, you've got a HECS debt, we're not going to borrow you this amount of money. I don't think like school really prepares. Do you think school really prepares kids for the reality of the future, of like what it's going to look like?
Probably not. I sort of wish that I'd gone to work before I went to school because then I would have got what it was all about, that I was learning so that I would be more capable in the future.
Good point.
Yeah.
Do you think that, because what we do is we give people a preview at the job. So they come through and they do awareness and clarity first, because I think the greatest curriculum that you can study in your life is yourself, because if you figure that out, what you love and what makes you glow, then that helps you find the pathway that you got to go down. And then when you get into a job, I've never actually done a job that I don't like my entire life. So when I meet people that don't love their job, I'm like, I don't even know what that feels like, to be honest. So I guess from my own experiences, that's how I've crafted what I'm doing. But I feel at school we don't really work on that. We're just working on right and wrong. Universities are sort of accepting people into law because they know they can make a lot of money from that. I know that sounds very bad, but it's true. And then they're not really saying to students, oh, you know, when you graduate, there's actually not that many jobs in this degree, but you can use all these skills in other things. But 75% of people that study something in tertiary education don't end up doing the job that they've studied for, which is pretty crazy. What advice would you give to young people?
I think it really comes down to really the communication between parents and their children. A lot of them just sort of like leave it right to the end, whereas we just had the one daughter, we discussed it with her right through, like we gave her the opportunity to do just that little bit of work while she was at school.
Yep.
She did a lot of other subjects, travelled and things like that, and so she had the opportunity to be able to see, well, what would she like to do, what's involved in that, talk about it. A lot don't even know what's involved in a job. They might think a job sounds really glamorous and great, but then they go into it and they say, like for instance an interior designer, when you go and start a job, you're going to start on $12 an hour and you have to do that for a couple of years and you don't really do a really great job. Like it's really awful what you have to do.
Yeah.
And a lot don't know that.
Yeah.
They think, oh, it's so glamorous being an interior designer and everything, but it's hard work when you start at the bottom.
Yeah. Obviously, you're educating people as well through your knowledge. Do you think that all people that want to go ahead and pursue something should have a mentor? So if they wanted to do interior design, they should reach out to people on LinkedIn. They should call people up and say, "I've seen your work. I really love it. I'm happy to work for free," and just have a bit of a mentor so you can get that free advice.
Yeah, I think so. I think people should be able to have a mentor. Like when they, like for instance, I'm amazed at how many people don't even know about AI, and they say, "Oh, well, I'm studying this," but do they realise that their job is not even going to be around soon?
Yeah,
But
very
why
good point.
why are they studying it then?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they've got to also be a little bit with the understanding of what's happening with jobs
they've
at
got
the
to be in
moment.
touch with that, what's going on.
But I don't know. But a mentor is, yes, a good thing. That should happen at school as well.
Yeah, I think so.